Folks, this is Microsoft Course 20532, Lab number 2. We'll be creating a virtual machine on Azure to host the lab for the rest of the modules. Once you're able to sign into the Azure, go to Resource Groups. We'll add a new resource group called 20532. Continue to create a new virtual network. Click on New. We'll select the virtual network. Create. The name is going to be VNet 20532. Our subnet address will be a 10.0.0.0/16. If you have another VNet on your Azure subscription, there will be a friendly reminder that if you were to connect these two VNet directly, there will be a address overlapping, so it will not work. It's a reminder that might be a problem. Within that virtual network of 10/16, we'll be creating a subnet called apps. This will occupy a /24 address space. We'll be assigning this virtual network to the 2053 resource group that we have created moments ago. Click on Create. We'll continue to create a storage account. Click on the new, the plus button, type in storage account. Select Microsoft Storage Account. Select Create. For this storage account, we'll call it Store 20532VC. Make sure the name is all lowercase. It will be a resource manager model for general purpose, standard performance, and let's just create a locally redundant. Does it cost the least? We also have the option to have Azure stored all the information in this storage account encrypted. Since we have chosen the resource group, we'll go ahead and select the 20532, the resource group that we created earlier, and click on Create. This storage account will be used to store the VHDs we need to for our virtual machines. The storage account has been provisioned. We'll go ahead and create a new virtual machine. Now to add a new virtual machine, we can search for the virtual machine, or we can click on more services. And one of the compute resource is a virtual machine. I'm going to select that. Select Add a new virtual machine. We'll be adding a virtual machine with Community Edition, Visual Studio. The template we'll be choosing is the Visual Studio Community 2015 with Azure SDK 2.9 on Windows Server 2012 R2. We'll be selecting the VS Community Edition 2015 with Azure SDK 2.9, and go ahead and create it. Now here's some parameter for this virtual machine. VM 20532. The disk type will be HDD. Username is student. Now please follow the instruction for the password to use. And again, we'll keep this in the same virtual machine, 20532. We'll be using the F4 standard virtual machine. Select View All, scroll down to F4 standard, select. For this virtual machine, we'll choose a storage account 20532 that we created earlier. For the virtual network is the VNet 20532 that works. The subnet is for our app with a /24. We'll keep everything else at the default. We'll disable the monitoring for this virtual machine. Click on OK. So make sure you scroll down and disable the monitoring. Click on OK. OK again to start provision the virtual machine. In about 5 minutes time, the virtual machine would have been deployed. We can now make a remote desktop connection to the virtual machine. Before we do that, we'll add a new hard disk to the virtual machine. We'll attach a new one. The virtual machine will be used to store all of our lab files. So VM 20532 all files. HDD is fine, and the size should be 128 gig. It's more than enough. That's it. Ensure the storage account is store 20532 that we created earlier. Host cache, none, and that's it. All right, notice you can also disable or enable host caching to the disk. Click on OK. We can go ahead and close out the display and go back to the virtual machine and make a connection to it. Using the downloaded RDP file, we can make a connection to the virtual machine. When prompted for a certificate, select yes. When we logged in, it's going to ask if you want the machine to be discovered. Since it's an isolated network, just select yes. We're going to configure local server. We'll be turning off, i.e. enhanced security configuration for both administrator and the user, so we can go online. Now, using the Windows menu, we'll search for disk utility, create and format hard disk partitions. Now, with this tool, we should see the virtual hard disk that we added earlier. When the tool initializes, it will detect a new disk, disk number 2. Make sure you select MBR, click OK. And assign this drive a letter F drive, just so that we all have the same new simple volume. Right click, new simple volume on the shaded area. So right click, new simple volume next. The entire size, make sure it's F drive, select next. Make sure you format the disk. Alright, so it looks like it's done. Let's close out the disk management. We'll be starting up the Internet Explorer to download our lab files. We'll be going to https goo.gl/jw is uppercase, lowercase n, uppercase GSR. The file we want is the all files version 1.03.zip. Save the file, open folder. We'll extract all to F drive. We'll close out the windows once the extraction is completed. We'll start the Visual Studio 2015. We're going to use our Microsoft account to sign in. If you've never signed in with a Microsoft account before, it will walk you through configuring your account. It's a one-time deal. Now for this virtual machine, make sure you keep me signed in. Click on sign in. And don't save the password. Once the virtual machine loads, that ends the Lab 2 exercise. We'll be using this virtual machine for the remainder of this course.